The ticket price. This does not shock me at all. What did I say earlier? The WNBA was about to F around and find out, and these rival teams were going to be in a lot of trouble. Well, they're finding out.
The arena lights slowly faded. The crowd's roar swelled to an overwhelming peak. It felt as if the WNBA had finally broken free and soared into the stratosphere. For years, the league had fought for mainstream relevance, fuller arenas, and a genuine cultural breakthrough. Then, almost in an instant, it seemed to capture the nation's attention. Record ratings flashed across televisions, sold-out signs covered box offices, and an infectious excitement pulsed from sports bars to social media around the world. It was a victory, a celebration of how far women's basketball had come. But then arrived a quiet press release, a seemingly harmless update, just a few weeks of rest for one athlete. Yet that single modest announcement unleashed a financial tremor so fierce it rattled the entire league, revealing how dangerously delicate its foundation truly was. Was the WNBA's meteoric ascent proof of lasting, genuine growth, or simply an illusion, a towering spectacle built on one extraordinary star's magnetism? The sudden jarring decline that followed may determine the league's fate, forcing an uneasy confrontation with a truth few wanted to see.
The Caitlin Clark effect has been a net positive for the WNBA and all of its teams. But the star guard expected to miss a minimum of 2 weeks. The league will see the flip side of her impact, and there are already initial data points. This is front office sports, no conspiracies, no BS from them. Statistical data.
Before the rumors of her absence began spreading, the WNBA was riding a nearly unbelievable wave of success. Each Indiana Fever game had turned into a must-see event, a golden ticket that fans scrambled to secure, often spending over $80 for entry while premium seats demanded far higher prices. The hype felt alive, almost electric, fueling a surge that pushed rival teams and ambitious arena owners to take daring financial risks. Take the Chicago Sky, for example. They made a stunning, unprecedented choice to move their highly anticipated game against the Fever from their modest 2,400-seat Wintrust Arena to the enormous 21,000-seat United Center, a stage usually reserved for NBA legends and world-touring superstars. This wasn't a small logistical tweak, it was a massive gamble, a bold declaration that one player alone possessed the magnetic star power to fill a venue of that immense size. The league, and nearly everyone tied to it, was betting on her unmatched ability to draw the world's attention.
Time to hit the panic button. 48 hours after news hits that Caitlin Clark is injured and she'll be missing 2 weeks, the market has responded, and the market has told the WNBA, we don't want this. We want her, but we don't want this.
But then the news broke. The whispers turned into an uproar. The gravitational force that had pulled in massive crowds, the athlete who had driven ticket prices to unprecedented levels, was suddenly out. And the moment word of her absence spread through the marketplace, everything shifted. The reaction wasn't gradual or uncertain. It was instant, emotional, and painfully clear. The market, in its ruthless honesty, responded with a haunting silence that spoke louder than any chant. We don't crave this version of the WNBA. We crave her. Without her, the product loses its soul. The financial collapse that followed wasn't mild, it was catastrophic. That same Chicago Sky versus Indiana Fever matchup at the United Center, once commanding premium prices, saw tickets plunge from $86 to a shocking $25 overnight. A staggering 71% crash, an overnight nosedive from celebration to crisis.
Chicago Sky can't sell out their own 9,000-something seat arena like it is. They couldn't when they were kind of decent. They're a dumpster fire now. And now that Caitlin Clark is injured, the ticket prices for the Fever and Sky game just plummeted to Hades.
What had once been a prize ticket worth $41 dropped to a mere $22. A ruthless 47% fall that left fans stunned and executives alarmed. Even more troubling, when viewing the larger picture, across 5 major Fever matchups within 2 weeks, the trend grew even darker. Average ticket prices, once peaking at an impressive $137, tumbled to just $80 following the injury announcement. That's a 42% plunge in mere days, a brutal reflection of how swiftly and severely the market responded to her absence. Even as Angel Reese and other captivating athletes step up, the data makes it painfully clear. No one else can attract audiences, fuel excitement, or shift the league's financial pulse the way Caitlin Clark can.
They stink now. Yeah, it's about me too. No, it's not, and this is proof.
These weren't small fluctuations or mild drops in enthusiasm. They were thunderous, unmistakable statements from the fanbase. No Clark, no ticket. Demand was inseparably tied to her being on the court. When she wasn't there, the atmosphere itself seemed to deflate. The energy drained from arenas even before tip-off, leaving a hollow silence where anticipation once buzzed. The sudden shift exposed an uncomfortable reality. The league's highly celebrated boom in popularity, hailed as proof of lasting growth, was in truth dangerously centered around one irreplaceable star. This wasn't a typical injury story where fans still showed up out of loyalty or habit. The league's own numbers screamed that Clark's absence had triggered a full-blown crisis, threatening to pull the WNBA back from the edge of mainstream recognition. With so much growth tied to one player, the idea of a rising tide lifting all teams sank instantly, leaving others desperately trying to stay afloat.
To games over the next 2 weeks have dropped 42% since Caitlin Clark's injury announcement, an average ticket price of $137, all the way down to $80.
This wasn't merely the misfortune of a superstar's temporary absence. It was a harsh, unfiltered revelation of the WNBA's deep-rooted structural weakness. The numbers, cold and undeniable, confirmed what many had long suspected but few dared to admit. Caitlin Clark wasn't just another player. She was the engine driving the league's entire machine. The system's momentum depended almost entirely on her presence, with others benefiting from the glow she created. The league's recent surge, the packed arenas, viral highlights, and soaring ticket prices, have been widely celebrated as the dawn of a new, stable era. Yet this moment laid bare a troubling truth. Much of that hard-earned momentum rested on the shoulders of a single extraordinary talent. The WNBA lacked a deep roster of equally marketable stars, a broad cast of personalities capable of sustaining fan passion when its leading force stepped away.
People are selling their tickets, definitely can't get face value, so what do? They just continue to lower and lower and lower and lower and lower the price. This isn't all resellers, folks. Hate to break it to you. A majority of these are everyday normal people. A majority of these are everyday normal people who watch Caitlin Clark in Iowa, watch her in her first year in Indiana, said, man, I want to watch that. I want to go to those games. I want to experience that. They won't be able to experience it. Time to sell.
This moment forced a harsh reality check, one that could no longer be brushed aside. If her brief absence could cause such a severe and widespread crash in demand, what did that reveal about the true strength of the league's foundation? It sparked troubling questions about long-term stability and the WNBA's ability to endure the inevitable storms of professional sports. The issue extended far beyond a few lost games. It reached deep into the league's economic core. Even the marquee matchups that had symbolized growth and newfound popularity, like the Chicago Sky versus Indiana Fever, lost their luster. Those very games that had once represented the WNBA's new era of excitement saw their energy evaporate without her presence. The dream of packed arenas and electric atmospheres dissolved into the stark reality of empty seats, a haunting image of a gamble gone disastrously wrong. The league's reliance on Clark's immense drawing power was exposed in real time, not only through ticket data but through the hollow quiet that filled arenas.
I mean, it's more statistical proof, data, to confirm exactly what we've been saying, that Caitlin Clark is driving this whole ship, this whole bus. She's driving it, everybody else, get in the back. Get in the back.
When Caitlin Clark was suddenly sidelined, an intense and often unforgiving spotlight shifted almost instantly toward Angel Reese. For many, she seemed like the natural successor, the player expected to carry the league's wave of attention. Reese possessed undeniable charisma, a bold sense of style, and a powerful off-court identity that connected with her fanbase. She was everywhere in the media, outspoken, self-assured, and unapologetically confident about her influence. She even once claimed fans tuned in just to see her, a declaration that highlighted her confidence in being a solo attraction. The league, desperate for a new face to sustain public interest, watched closely, hoping her immense popularity and crossover appeal could generate the same kind of frenzy that Clark had created. Even in cities where Reese was featured prominently, her star power wasn't producing the same feverish ticket-buying rush that Clark considered.
The marquee matchup in the WNBA, like it or love it, rivalry or not, Chicago Sky, Indiana Fever, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, that is the marquee matchup in the WNBA, and those tickets are crashing just as well. From $86 48 hours ago to $25. And by the time June 7th rolls around, it might cost you a bag of Skittles and some Lay's potato chips to get in there.
But soon, the numbers began to tell a very different, far more unsettling story, one that clashed sharply with the media narrative. Without Clark on the floor, all eyes turned to Reese to prove she could command equal attention and ignite the same market energy. Yet the market's verdict was swift, precise, and unforgiving. Not quite. The much-hyped Chicago Sky versus Indiana Fever matchup at the United Center, designed as a grand showcase of the Reese-Clark rivalry, fell apart the moment Clark was ruled out. Ticket demand collapsed, enthusiasm waned, and the massive venue suddenly felt hollow, far too large for the occasion. This wasn't just a single game's misfortune, it revealed a spreading pattern. Even other major matchups, like the Mystics versus Fever game in Baltimore, experienced steep declines. Tickets that once cost $41 slid to $22, a 47% drop.
And we have plenty of evidence that proves Angel Reese is not qualified to carry the league.
And then came the silence. Though Reese had long been vocal about her influence and the massive attention she draws, she remained notably quiet as ticket sales plummeted and public enthusiasm dwindled in Clark's absence. That silence left both fans and insiders speculating. Was she deliberately avoiding the uncomfortable questions? Or did it expose a deeper truth? The immense, almost unbearable pressure placed upon her shoulders? Either way, the situation trapped Reese in a difficult corner. She was a certified star, a media magnet, and a cultural icon, yet the expectation that she could single-handedly carry the league's financial weight was immense. The data, however, spoke clearly: she couldn't do it alone. The gap between her celebrity status and her actual ticket-selling impact became impossible to ignore, creating a growing divide in the league's narrative.
The get-in tickets for the Fever's rivalry game against the Chicago Sky on June 7th are down 71% from $86 to $25.
You might wonder, what about Angel Reese's college legacy? Her dominant run at LSU, her viral moments that captivated millions, her massive online following that surpassed many pros. Shouldn't all that translate easily to the WNBA? It's a reasonable assumption that her fame and personal brand would naturally command the same pull. But the hard reality, revealed through the WNBA's sharp market decline, tells a very different story. Caitlin Clark's presence carries a nearly unmatched power. She fills arenas, drives record demand, and resets the standard for ticket value. In contrast, Reese's presence, at least for now, doesn't create the same surge in attendance or league-wide economic impact. That's not a knock on her undeniable skill, fierce competitiveness, or star quality. She's a captivating athlete in her own right. But the league's dependence on one player has become glaring.
These prices are going to continue to drop.
Wednesday's Fever game versus the Mystics at CFG Bank Arena in Baltimore has a get-in price of $22.
The market's brutal reaction exposed a harsh reality, a truth many observers still fail to grasp. There's a vital difference between being famous and being a genuine draw. You can be widely known, a social media sensation, even a global influencer, and yet still lack the rare ability to fill arenas or spike viewership. As some blunt analysts have put it, fame doesn't always equal influence. You can be a celebrity and still not draw an audience. This became the WNBA's painful revelation. The league's quiet bet on Reese as a dependable secondary attraction capable of carrying part of the financial burden in Clark's absence proved to be a misstep. Ticket prices fell, attendance dipped, and the overall energy in the arenas noticeably faded when Clark wasn't there. And despite Reese's immense popularity and cultural visibility, she couldn't reverse the decline. The issue extended beyond her performance. It reflected the league's entire promotional strategy and its dangerous over-reliance on a concentrated handful of stars.
This game get-in was like $100 at one stage. This was $100 at one stage. Let's go one ticket. Or well, is it two tickets? Two tickets. Let's just see what it costs for court. Look at how many, oh my god, look at how many people are selling tickets.
Just look at the numbers, some fans muttered. Check the resale sites, everyone's unloading tickets. Beneath the surface, a deeper issue began to emerge. the growing scrutiny of the WNBA's overall product. When its biggest attraction, the player who transformed ordinary games into must-see spectacles, was gone, the attention shifted. Instead of focusing on talent, the conversation turned toward the league's structural flaws. The question became unavoidable: if the product is truly strong, why does it depend so heavily on one individual to remain compelling? The mounting expectations placed on Reese only highlighted the fragility of the league's foundation. It served as a sobering reminder that popularity alone does not guarantee drawing power. Fame may spark headlines, but in the relentless world of professional sports, it doesn't always translate to filled seats or sustained financial stability.
But I'm like, I didn't realize just how bad it was gonna get. I didn't realize how bad. Like, they all moved arenas and everybody's trying to sell their tickets. Like, if you look, the get-in price is $23.80. $23.80 is the get-in price for tomorrow night.
The financial consequences of Clark's absence cut far deeper than most casual fans could comprehend. The damage extended well beyond the visible drop in ticket sales. Empty arenas meant enormous secondary losses, from unpurchased merchandise to idle food stands and abandoned concession counters. These seemingly small gaps represented critical high-margin income that evaporated almost instantly. It's worth remembering that the WNBA had already been operating at a deficit, reportedly losing around $40 million just the previous year. This wasn't a minor hiccup, it was a serious financial wound that had already drawn concern from NBA owners who hold stakes in WNBA teams. These investors, used to seeing profit, were growing increasingly frustrated, demanding to know when, or if, the league would finally stop bleeding money and start producing returns. For many insiders,
even though the mainstream media wants us to believe that Angel Reese is a huge star, we have years of evidence that proves otherwise. Like I say all the time, there is a huge difference between a star and a draw. You can be a star, you can be famous, and still not be able to draw flies to a fresh turf.
adding even more urgency is the looming negotiation of a new media rights deal, a multi-million-dollar lifeline that could determine the league's survival. This contract, the cornerstone of every major sports organization's stability, is now precariously dependent on Clark's continued dominance and availability. If that deal, once projected to inject fresh capital, falters because the league's biggest draw is unavailable, the fallout could be disastrous. Teams would face tighter budgets, players would endure reduced resources, and the league would once again rely heavily on financial aid from its parent organization. The entire business model, built on optimistic forecasts of steady growth and profitability, has been exposed as fragile, its success tethered almost entirely to the health and star power of a single transcendent athlete.
Angel Reese and the WNBA have been using race to bring awareness to an incredibly bad product. Once you remove Caitlin Clark from the equation, there's no reason for people to watch this league, which is why people haven't been watching Angel Reese throughout her career.
And then comes the almost unthinkable prospect, the international market. Reports have surfaced of Caitlin Clark's potential options overseas, particularly in emerging basketball markets flush with investor capital. In some of these countries, she could reportedly earn upwards of $20 million per year, a figure the WNBA's salary structure can't even approach. The possibility that the league's most influential star might leave for a more lucrative global offer isn't far-fetched, it's a chilling reality check. The WNBA operates in a fiercely competitive international talent economy, and if Clark or others like her decide to pursue opportunities abroad, the impact could be devastating. Losing the player who serves as the engine of its growth would jeopardize sponsorship deals, media partnerships, and the league's fragile relationship with...
They're losing merchandise sales, they're losing food sales, they're losing beverage sales. They're losing big. They took a big gamble to get into that arena, and they're losing big because it's not going to be full, and those people aren't going to be buying things there.
The WNBA's current situation closely resembles, with unsettling accuracy, the struggles seen in other leagues that have unknowingly centered their entire identity around one extraordinary superstar. Consider Major League Soccer and Lionel Messi. When Messi, the global football phenomenon, misses a match, ticket prices plummet, and opposing teams that expected his appearance are left scrambling to hold fan interest and maintain pre-game excitement. The WNBA now finds itself in this same fragile position. It has become painfully obvious that depending almost entirely on one or two marquee players isn't just dangerous, it's a path toward long-term collapse. The league has tried on several occasions to promote other skilled
They're getting a new media rights deal. That thing won't be worth shit if Caitlin Clark was to either get really injured and couldn't play or decided to just say, I'm not going to play here anymore. I'm going overseas. Where, by the way, they would pay her, my God, some of those countries might pay her $20 million a year to come over there and play. And I'm not kidding.
This extreme reliance has sparked some deeply divisive debates, exposing the growing desperation within certain corners of the league. Some analysts have gone as far as to suggest that the WNBA should actively protect its prized asset, Caitlin Clark, through what they call superstar calls during games. This refers to the practice of giving preferential officiating, similar to what NBA legends or global soccer stars receive, ensuring they stay on the floor and out of foul trouble, keeping them central to the action. Whether one agrees with the fairness of that idea is irrelevant. The fact that such a bold, almost controversial proposal is being seriously discussed highlights how aware the league is of its fragile foundation. It's proof that the stakes are immense and that conventional methods may no longer suffice. The danger of overdependence can
It's going to be real tough because even if you're out 3 weeks, you're missing a lot of game, a real portion of the year. All right. The ticket prices. This does not shock me at all. What did I say earlier? The WNBA was about to F around and find out, and these rival teams were going to be in a lot of trouble. Well, they're finding out.
The short-term crisis sparked by Clark's absence has evolved into a larger existential dilemma for the WNBA. How can it strategically transform? How can it create a wide and balanced roster of true stars? And how can it secure its future when its present feels so uncertain? Hoping another once-in-a-generation athlete appears to fill the gap is not a sustainable plan. Data clearly shows that even the most recognizable players after Clark cannot stop demand from collapsing. The WNBA must deliberately expand the spotlight, developing and promoting a range of marketable athletes, or it risks reliving the same downfall every time a major name goes missing. This issue goes far beyond one player's injury or a temporary sales slump. It exposes a deep structural weakness in the league's design.
She was the league. Keep in mind, my point I'm trying to get to is when it came out that the league lost $40 million last year, NBA owners that own portions of these WNBA teams were starting to get angry and ask a lot of questions about when is this league ever going to make money. So that tells you there was starting to be a little life support situation happening when the owners were starting to get angry about never making a profit on this league.
The league now faces a defining challenge: how to construct its future, preserve its stability, and guarantee its survival. As the storm from Clark's brief absence begins to settle, the call for meaningful structural reform has never been louder, nor the threat of ignoring it more frightening. The very foundation of the WNBA, its independence and long-term success, depends entirely on its ability to evolve, broaden its reach, and build appeal that extends well beyond the shadow of a single superstar.
With Caitlin Clark, they can make money with the new media rights deal. If that was to fall through for some reason, the league is cooked. Close it down. Or Caitlin Clark could, I don't know, call up Elon, start her own league.
The verdict has arrived, not from commentators or analysts, but from the unflinching truth of market data. Caitlin Clark's extraordinary influence on the WNBA has been exposed in full through the devastating financial decline that followed her short absence and the harsh light it cast on other skilled yet less market-moving stars. Her college career, already immortalized by record-breaking feats, hinted at the power she now wields. And in the professional arena, the figures make the reality impossible to deny. When Clark sat out, Indiana Fever home ticket prices plunged by 42%, while the highly anticipated matchup against the Sky collapsed by a jaw-dropping 71% overnight. Games that once radiated energy and drew sold-out crowds suddenly struggled to fill arenas. The fans have spoken in unmistakable terms.
So anybody with a connected brainstem knows that Caitlin Clark is far better of a basketball player and has made such a tremendous impact in a greater number, more so than Angel Reese. Everybody knows that. Her college career was better. The stadium sales, the WNBA popularity has gone up because Caitlin Clark.
This is far more than a passing downturn. It's an unmistakable wake-up call for the WNBA to completely reimagine how it builds, promotes, and sustains its future. The challenge strikes at the heart of its entire economic identity. Can the league truly chart a stable, independent path forward, one not tethered so tightly to the presence and performance of a single superstar? Or will its fate remain bound to the fragile brilliance of a select few? The unwritten chapter of the WNBA's evolution now demands urgent transformation, a diversification of its appeal and the deliberate cultivation of multiple stars who can carry its brand. Without such change, the league's brightest moments will always be haunted by its deepest weaknesses, leaving an organization bursting with potential staring into a future clouded with uncertainty and risk.